Time for some reaction videos. This is gonna be another reaction video because the first one I messed up, so I'm gonna search up Reddit stories. Let's see. Um, we'll continue watching this one because I was watching it a bit.
An older dude. Partied a lot, etc. But my parents helped her a lot. They do okay for themselves. But had a no co-signing rule for all 6 of my siblings die.
I'm kind of confused on like what they mean by that. Like, but had a no co-signing rule. I don't know what that means, so I'm not
Still,
familiar.
they co-signed for her house so she could get a head start.
Oh, okay.
She didn't pay the mortgage for almost 3 years before my mom got served in front of all the other nurses at her work. My parents worked tirelessly to try to work out deals where my sister and her family kept the house and got some leniency.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this. If you disown a child for not behaving well, sleeping with older men, partying, that's honestly what I would do. I'm just saying. I don't know if it's gonna be true or not, but I'm just saying.
But to no avail, because my sister never showed up for court dates.
That's something you don't want to do. You don't want to. You gotta show up for court. You can't just show up to court.
During this time, she paid $12,000 for IVF and got pregnant with her 5th kid.
Oh my god,
And
why?
my mom demanded some of the money back. She accused my dad and my brother of beating her sons when my parents took them to Disney World. He didn't, and said she'd file a police report if he asked for money again. They kept asking, cause it wasn't true. She awkwardly joined us for Christmas, and punched my brother in the face during the meal for humiliating her oldest son by asking him if he wanted to work at my brother's company for good pay.
How is that humiliating? That honestly seems like a good pay.
Her oldest son is in and out of jail, and my brother was trying to help him after his release. But her son said he didn't want a job and got mad. She then called the cops and told them the same brother had illegal guns in his truck. And they came on Christmas night and searched his truck. No guns found. My heart actually aches for your mum. Yeah, it's really shitty behavior and all, but from a parent perspective that concerns me much.
I know this cause not that I've been disowned, but I've been kicked out.
Hope the rest of your family is doing well off. A little different. I was disowned, but I deserve it. I was an addict and a mess for a long time. My mom couldn't keep bailing me out of trouble and watch me self-destruct anymore. I wasn't living at home. She came to see me one last time to tell me she was done, not to contact her. She would no longer have anything to do with me. She was in pieces. I can't imagine how hard it must have been for her, but it was the best thing she ever did for me. Once she cut me off, my rock bottom came hard and fast. After a little while of living on the streets and my addiction consuming me, I made my way to a detox center. Got a few days clean under my belt and never looked back. That was almost 15 years ago. After I was clean a little while, I contacted my mom. And little by little we built a relationship again.
Aww.
And now we're really close. I am forever grateful to my mom for letting me fall and letting me back into her life. That's beautiful.
I actually didn't expect the story to be here. Like, he says it's a little different. He was disowned, or she. Well, this person was disowned, but then they say that they deserved it. Cause I have a feeling that like, whenever you get disowned, you either feel like you do deserve it or you don't deserve it. Not that I've ever been disowned, but you know what I mean.
I second this. It's also great to read a story where a kid acknowledges that they had a part in the story and takes responsibility. All too often it's accepted that kids are and forever will be the victims of their parents, and the reverse isn't as welcomed unless the child is clearly a psychopath. That can really fail to account for the parent's humanity. My ex-wife disowned my son. We both married young when I was in the military, high school sweethearts. She became pregnant 6 months into our marriage. I don't think she connected with him at all after he was born. The most she did with him was Instagram photo shoots where she painted herself as number one mommy. When he turned 3, I left the military. A year after that, she ran for the hills. I remember it like it was yesterday. I sat down with her at a local restaurant to talk divorce plans. We split all of our financials and material items down the middle. We finally got to custody for my kiddo, something I dreaded to discuss because fathers never gain custody in my area, and she tells me I want absolutely no responsibility. I was taken back and I asked if she was sure. She was. That one sentence hurt me more than anything else that happened during that time. My biological father wanted nothing to do with me, and now I was seeing it happen with my own child, but with his mother. I received full custody and she married within a year afterwards. She had another child too.
That thing kind of pisses me off, I'm not gonna lie.
Her parents try their best to be a part of his life, but she still does her best to avoid him. He's 7 now and used to it, but I know it weighs heavily on him. Shit sucks ass, but it's life, I guess. I just woke up and saw all the upvotes, messages, comments, and awards. I want to say thank you so much. I didn't expect this level of response. I don't usually share something as personal as that. My kiddo is a very awesome kid that has shown great resiliency beyond his years. He has rolled...
Hold on. Resilience... What is it? The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. The ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Okay, so... Here, okay, get out of my way, Fly. Psychological resilience is the ability to mentally or emotionally... Get out of my way. Cope with a crisis or to return to pre-crisis status quickly. Resilience exists when a person uses mental processes and behaviors in promoting personal effects and protecting himself from the potential negative effects of... Oh, so I'm resilient. Okay, alright, so that's the thing.
Rolled through the tough times better than even I. I can just hope he doesn't question his worth because of what his mom did. I know I questioned mine due to my own father leaving, and that has left scars that will not heal. Well, thank you all again, and you all have a wonderful day. That's vile, and your son is lucky to have you. I'm sorry that you both have to live with this. I appreciate that. Although I'm not the biggest fan of hers, I still want my son to feel whole. Another guy who generally creeps everyone out by jumping the fence and just standing in the backyard at all hours of the night. Your sister dated Michael Myers. I just imagined Austin Powers standing in the backyard and thought, yeah, I guess that's a thing he would do. Now I realize that I'm a bit confused sometimes. Bro, just wow. That was a roller coaster of emotions. Not so much a roller coaster as much as a never-ending free fall. My biological father divorced my mom and also his 3 kids, basically bouncing out of our lives and making it clear he wanted next to nothing to do with any of us when he left. Man, years later, at my older sister's funeral, that he had the ducking gall to attend, I asked him why he did that. He said, I thought it would be easier for everyone. He actually meant it was easier for him to run home to his wealthy family and enjoy a second adolescence while my single mother worked 2 jobs to feed 3 kids under 10 with 0 child support from him.
Now that's just... I'm just gonna swear this bit. Now that's just a dick move.
Our fathers are 2 in the same. Shitty. Make it 3. Father came from money, so he took off life's easy life while my mom worked 2 jobs while going to community college. After 30 years, dude sent message through my aunt if we ever wanted to meet, he'd like to. Even after all that time, dude still can't face things on his own. Edit spelling a word. I have been legally disowned by my father. When I was 11, my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. This was her 2nd diagnosis in around 4 years. Obviously she recovered the first time after intense surgery and a lot of chemo, and he did not want to look after her like he did before. He also had a new GF and her family to look after apparently, and he had no issues leaving us. When my mum passed away when I was 14, my brother, grandmother, him and I met up to discuss who I was going to live with. The plan was my brother and his family. His father was never considered, and he showed up and declared that he was in the process of going to court to legally emancipate himself from me. He went out of his way to legally declare that I was no longer his child, just so that my brother, 22-year with a wife and 2 young children already struggling on 1 paycheck, couldn't seek child support. Needless to say, it stung coming only days after my mother's funeral.
Oh.
What an ass. Hugs to you. Peace to your mom. Peace to your mom. Knowing her child doesn't have to be around that monstrous a-hole anymore pretty much guarantees this. My mother and her sister were both adopted into a great family. Recently, my grandfather fell ill and we were told to prepare to say goodbye, so the family gathered. My grandmother has had a hard time with her memory since she had a brain hemorrhage, but she welcomed my aunt into her home during this tough time. Whilst my grandfather was in his final week, Wendy, aunt, up my grandmother's ATM card and proceeded to spend well over $1,000 on herself and get herself a motel room.
Why?
She also attempted to steal their car. When my uncles found out, she basically disappeared into the wind. After my grandfather passed and his funeral was all sorted, my grandmother went to...
Hold on. Give me a sec.
An attorney to write Wendy out of any inheritance she would get from their estate when she passes. She didn't press any formal charges, because the whole process would have been lengthy and more painful for her. She didn't need the extra stress. I'm pretty sure one of my uncles also threatened Wendy to make sure she stayed away from my grandmother from now on too. Damn. That's some r/I-am-atical piece of shit material from Wendy right there. Stealing from the deceased near deceased is one of the lowest things a human being can do. My family disowned me because I disowned my mother.
Huh?
I was sexually groomed and abused, tortured by her husband for years, and when I finally told her, she not only didn't believe me, but stayed married to him for 7 years.
Okay, come on.
I had to move out at 16 to get away from how I was being treated. Then when I finally began speaking to others, she started to cover her ass with her social circle by telling them that I seduced her husband. I cut her off for years, and didn't ever want to see her again, but my family bullied me to just get over it and have a relationship with my mother, and that I was hurting her. Even my sister, who knew what happened, knew I stayed for so long to protect her, fell into a trap of my mother whining to everyone around her and painting me as a liar. About 4 years ago, she was very suddenly diagnosed with advanced cancer and didn't have much time. I was moving out of my home state and everyone told me I needed to see her before I left, that I needed to be there, but I didn't want it. In the end, everyone turned their back on me. They were so mad I wouldn't just forget my trauma just to say goodbye to someone I hadn't loved for a long time. And rightly so. Edit. I'm getting a lot of replies, so I just want to say thank you and send you all virtual hugs.
Aww.
I'm okay now. I'm grown up, and though I was set back in a lot of ways life-wise, I came out on top for the best. Anyone who is also experiencing this, you aren't alone. And if you need to talk, I'm here. Hey dear, I'm in the same boat. I have some siblings who know the truth, who were also abused but not sexually like I was, and are also NC, but my little sister, stepfather is her real father, basically said it was just one time, so I need to let it go. It wasn't one ducking time, and the fact that my mother admits it all happened now but is downplaying it infuriates me more. You know what? We've loved our mothers long after they deserved our love, extended them so many chances, and they've just shit on us. I miss my sister, but I don't think I would even return for my mom's funeral. I'm done pretending she's a good person. By not pretending, I've taken my life back. You did the right thing. As Jehovah's Witnesses, my parents disowned my siblings and I several times since I was in my late teens. One of the JW rules is that you do not associate with others who know the truth but refuse to follow it, including family, and parents are encouraged to disown any children who have left the religion. The first time was when I was 19. It upset me. I was heartbroken, and eventually they changed their minds only to do it again a couple years later, and so on until I stopped caring and no longer attempt to be a part of their lives at all. Was seeing a girl in high school. Her family was JW, but she really didn't care. I really liked her and it was fun. Then she disappeared. Her dad found out and she was sent to live with her grandmother. Never saw her again. Her sister managed to let me know what happened and that the girl was sorry. Really bummed me out for a couple years. I dated this JW girl briefly. We went to her place to watch a boxing match in the mid-90s. I was really sweet on her. She was really cool. Some of the other JW people were there, and they seemed okay, polite and everything. Then directly after the fight, her dad insisted he drive me home at 95 miles per hour, like evil freaking evil on a Kawasaki dirt bike, weaving like a madman on the freeway. He pulled up in front of my folks' driveway. I got off the bike and handed him the helmet. A little shook. It was only my second time on a motorcycle ever. He stared me down like he was going to murder me. He kept eye contact as he shook his head slowly. He pointed at me. You get it, he said. I got it. She was really cool, but she was off limits. The same thing happened when I dated a Creole girl. Except her grandmother loudly asked what the heck I was doing there. Edit. Thanks for the silver, stranger. Join our community Discord.
Alright, don't disown your child, that's all I gotta say.